to episode number 12 in a year gardening, following my exploits in the garden through the year of 2020. Well, the time has come now to start taking some of the plants out of the greenhouse and getting them into the ground, and we've decided now to spend more time in the front garden. I've installed a little seat in the front garden, I'll show that to you later, and I'm going to start planting out some of the boulders today. Incredibly, we're now just about 1/3 of the way through the year. So much has happened, and we'll do a little bit of a recap on these last 3.5 to nearly 4 months later on in this little show. Now it's time for me to get on, bringing some plants up from the greenhouse and getting them into the ground. Now you may remember back in the very first episode I planted some Heliopsis roots, and I thought it'd be nice just to put one right up against the fence here in the front garden, because it gives us about 1 metre height and it'll give some back to the border. So I'm just going to pop that in the ground now, and although this soil is absolutely awful, as we go through the next couple of years and keep conditioning this soil, it should really improve. So I will be firm that down a little bit so that I've got some loose soil underneath the plant, give the roots a good chance of getting established, and then we'll just pop that out of its container, take the label away now, and that into the ground. And that should give me a nice little bit of height here towards the back of the border. And I'm just going to grab myself some water, give that a nice little drink now, help it on its way. And that should give us some nice colour and height at the back. So I'm going to pick some more of my plants out now, and I'm going to lay those out around here and get those in the ground. With the unseasonably warm weather that we've had these last couple of days, some of these plants have been suffering just a little bit, so I've given them a bit of a tidy up, give them a good old drink for the last couple of days, laid them out, and I'm quite happy with that. And then I'm going to plant some iris bulbs and some freesias in between these, just to give this corner of the front garden a nice bit of colour. Hopefully they'll live and it'll be another happy day in the garden. So I'm just going to get on with that now. Well, that's the first of the group of ranunculus and some freesias and some Dutch irises with the Heliopsis behind it. Give that room to fill out just a little bit. I've got some more plants to put in there as well. I've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bits of border to continue putting the bedding out into. Give us a nice little bit of colour this summer. Well, as you can see, the shelves now are filling out as we're planting stuff out into the garden. But in line with succession planting, I've got some more seeds ready to go in, and I'm going to be planting up some more trays of seeds and get those germinating so that we've got crops going forward through the year. So I think I'll start doing some more seed planting now. Okay, seed time. Today I'm going to be planting some beetroot seeds, and I've got one of these disposable barbecue trays, and as you can see they already have holes all the way around the side, so I don't need to add any drainage into that. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to get the beetroot and I'm going to sow into there. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a few of these and drop them finely over the top. And they're quite a nice large seed, so they're easy to sort of thin out and space out as you're going round, so you don't get too many together. It'd be really nice to get some beetroot going later in this year. There's enough here that I can do this tray and then probably another one in a week or so's time, so that we can space out the growing. So they're nicely spread out on there. And all I do now is I just press them down into the compost slightly to make sure they've got a nice bedding in there. They don't need to be that far down in it. Make sure we've got every single one done. And then just grab yourself a little bit of compost, and I'm just going to sprinkle that between my fingers over the top. Give them a little covering. Doesn't need to be too much, just a millimetre or so. Just a little bit more. Just cover these at this end here. Lovely, lovely. What I need to do now, grab my label that up, and put that up on the rack with the other plants. Well, this is the first of the raised beds that I built, and it's got quite a nice tilt of soil on it. This has all been through my sieve, and what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to be planting some more onion sets in here. Now I have a little board that I've made which is just the right size to go inside, and I've got this marked off at 5-inch spaces. And I've got some onion sets here called Centurion, which I am going to be just popping into the ground. Now all I do when I'm planting my onions is I take my thumb and make a hole, just the first knuckle of my thumb, make a hole in the ground, and I do that for each of the onions. Pop one in, and remember, pointy side up. Otherwise you ain't going to get no nice onions. And I'm going to be planting a couple of rows of these today. Keep the wife nice and happy. Plenty of onions for the salads later on in the year. 1, 2, and 3. Right, to give around about 4 to 5 inches easily, maybe even 6 inches between the rows, and then make the holes again. Because this has been through the sieve, it's so nice and soft, this soil, it's so easy to plant in. Pop that into there. I've got garlic growing at the other end of this bed, and in between I'm going to sow some carrots, but I'm not going to sow those for another couple of weeks just yet. There. One there, and there. There. And one more in there. I won't put one in too close to the end here because I've got my labels which are marked up with Onion Centurion, which we'll place at the end of each row. We can remove that, and then we can just bring this tilt back over the top. onions planted in those 2 rows. I'll give those a nice water now, and that'll be ready. Ooh. A couple of weeks' time we will see plenty of onions coming through there, and in a few months' time we'll have some nice onions to take indoors and start to hang. Well, this is the decorative area of the front garden, and I recently redesigned this with the circles and the inset circular pattern for some wildflowers, and the seeds are just coming through at the moment, and the borders are taking a lot of work. Over the far side I've got a lot of daffodils against the fence. They're all going to be lifted and go into a new area which is behind us at the moment. I've also been able to put in a couple of chairs into the front there so that we are able to sit and watch the world go by. And the beds and borders are coming on slowly. And then just behind me you'll see this rather messy area here, and this is a weed suppressing membrane that is down covering some old grass and some inverted turfs, and this is going to be a new shrub bed when the soil is ready. If we just go through the gate now, we'll come into our utility area, and this is where we do our bins and our washing. It's an ugly and untidy area, but I do have a nice little planter going with some strawberries in it at the moment, and there's going to be some hanging baskets and plenty of colour in here as the year goes on. And through there we go to the main area of the garden. Whilst we're on our way through, this is our little memory garden, and the forget-me-nots are really looking stunning at the moment. The bed does need a little bit of work at the moment, and I'll make no excuses. I haven't done any work on it since back end of last year. Just coming round, this is our soft roots border, and there's a lot to go on here. I've got a load of strawberries ready to go into here as well, but we've got our peach, we've got some raspberries, and I think the rhubarb is going to take. It only went in this year. We've got some signs of life on there, so I'm quite pleased with that. Then if we just move down here, I can show you then into, this is the rose bed that we planted this year. There's some new roses in here. I'm afraid I haven't been able to get hold of any compost to do the mulching. I like to keep my mulching fairly thick, so I've only done a little bit, and as soon as I'm able to get some more, then I will do so. Over this side here, this is the most established section of the garden, and this is the first bed I put in because I brought some hellebores from my previous home, and I've got those and the hookeras in there, and my peony, a couple of various shrubs, and obviously my favourite cordylines are sitting in there, and some more plants that I've been growing. I've got a couple of period shrubs in the back and the rhododendron, and then the water feature that I've planted in here. Finally, we've got a very, very small border just up the top here, which is just a buddleia, which is growing rather nicely there. Euonymus in the middle, and some crocosmias. Just going to be filled out a little bit this year with some unusual bedding. It's going to be lettuces and cabbages. Well, this area here is my soft fruit garden, and I've been overwintering some strawberries in a patch of ground down the bottom of the garden. They're doing really well, so I thought I'd bring them out here, and I'm just going to garden in here. Hello. And first thing I'm going to do is just rake the top off here. Clear this mulch out of the way. Now I'm just going to clear the ground, ready to take the strawberry plants. Soil. It's absolutely beautiful. It's been under the mulch now for 18 months this has been mulched for, so the soil is lovely. I'm not going to put these too far apart either. So these have just come out the ground in the last 15 minutes. Little hole, in it goes. I can keep them nice and close together. They'll be easier to protect with the straw underneath when the fruit form. You're having a good day today, you dogs, aren't you? Yes, you are. These have really overwintered very, very nicely. And I've been promising myself a nice patch of strawberries out here. Although I've got some in the plant around the side, which are already in flower, these should take rather nicely in this area of the garden. And as we've got our raspberries and things all growing rather nicely here, strawberries is another lovely plant to be growing. Another one at the front here. Just basically filming them in by hand. And because the sun hasn't got to this area of the garden yet, I will give them nice early water. Put little babies in there as well. Lovely. And we've got one more down here. Pop that one into there. Now I'll just take this mulch round here. Yes, you are, aren't you? You're being noisy. I've got some more to go down up here, and that should fill this area out quite nicely. Well, thank you for joining me once again, and I think it's about time that I summed up and told you what I'm going to be doing in the next video. Well, that brings me to the end of episode number 12, and here I am sitting on the seats that I put into the front garden, and it's been a really busy little show to put together, planting out in the front garden, getting the onions in, sowing some beetroot, moving the strawberries, loads of other little jobs that I have been doing. But what to do in the next episode? Well, I've got to be pricking out and planting on things like my petunias, my spring onions, my tomatoes have got to be potted on. Lots and lots of things planned for the next episode, and hopefully you've enjoyed this one as much as I've enjoyed putting it together. And I hope we're all learning together and we're growing together, but most importantly that we're staying safe. So I will leave you today with a little glass. Wish you all the very best. Stay safe, stay well. See you next time. Cheers.